Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Deconstructing Leftists. Today, I want to talk to you about something that I saw on another video. I didn't actually even watch the video. I just saw a question that was posed by a leftist atheist. And remember that I said the reason why that I take on atheists and still call it leftists is because the real thing that atheists are doing is they have this belief that if they can separate people from God and belief in God, then everybody will become a progressive. Because they think the only reason why that America has not become a liberal utopia already is because of belief in God. And if you take God out of the way, then everybody would be a progressive and the Democrats would win all the elections. And, from their standpoint, that would be heaven on earth. It would be a nightmare as far as I'm concerned. But the leftists, that's what they're looking for. So this question was posed by one of the atheists who is also a politician now and actually running for Congress. The question was, why is it that when you see people deconstruct from Christianity, they tend to become progressives? And I want to address that today. First of all, let's look at the question about, are they doing that? I mean, let's ask ourselves, is that even really happening? It is to a degree. But what I'm noticing a lot more is that people become progressives. They're already Christians. They become progressives, and then they deconstruct. It's not the other way around. So what's going on here? Well, they're getting seduced into the idea of big government programs and how helpful that would be to them and to other people. Supposedly having free health insurance. And anybody that really understands this knows that there is no such thing. Somebody is going to pay for health care. They always want to say it's going to be the wealthiest people paying their fair share. That's not true. You could take all the money that all the wealthy people have and confiscate it, and you could not continue to fund unlimited free health care. It would not be enough. So that's not really true, and their fair share thing isn't true either, because they have this ridiculous idea of a progressive tax system where that the wealthy pay at a higher rate than those that are making less money, which is not their fair share. It's above their fair share. But they see stuff like healthcare. They start calling it a right, which it's not. It's a business. It sounds nice to say it's a right, but if it's a right, then you wouldn't have Obama, when he was talking about Obamacare, going around telling people that some would just have to take a pain pill, meaning they wouldn't get their rights met. I mean, if it's a right, no, they wouldn't have to just take a pain pill. They could get whatever treatment was necessary, no matter how costly it was or how little it will extend their life. If healthcare is a right, they're entitled to anything, and the government pay the bill. Something else I've said about this, if it's a right, quit having government healthcare in the sense of insurance. And you don't even need it to be insurance at all. What you need to do is say, well, if it's a right, then just bill the government. You go to the doctor, the government is who's billed, not you. If it's a right, that's the way you'd have to do it. And it sounds wonderful, but there's not enough money to do it. And when that happens, you'll have everybody going to the doctor for the sniffles. Because why not? It's going to be billed to the federal government. So, but they see these things and it all sounds so wonderful. Then you have a lot of them that are seduced over to the progressive ideas by things like LGBTQ. And that happens because they will meet people at work, or they'll just meet people that are in that community, and they will feel bad for them because they know that Christianity says that it's a sin. And they think that Christians are being mean to them. And so they are starting to turn more progressive, and it's turning them a little bit more and more away from God. It's starting to put a wedge in there. People in their community, in the Christian community, start questioning how Christian they are because they're supporting things that are against God. If they go to college, a lot of the time they can even be persuaded that women murdering their own unborn babies in the name of women's rights or choice is justified, whereas Christians would say absolutely not. And I'm talking about real Christians. I know there's people in the Christian community that might think that this kind of genocide is just fine, but real Christians would say no to that. But again, it's another wedge issue. And so they start going that way, but right now, early on, they're still in Christianity. But they're starting to get more and more alienated from their fellow Christians. And then they hear about deconstruction. Then maybe that God's not even real. They want that to be the case at this point because they don't want to have to worry about going to hell or anything like that. But they don't really want to serve a God that now is intolerant to them. So what do? They start this deconstruction process. Over in Romans, it says that people do not want to retain God in their knowledge, so he gives them over to a reprobate mind. That's what happens. They don't want to retain God in their knowledge, so they turn to the deconstruction people. And when they do this, they're not doing a genuine search on both sides. Like, in other words, they're not going over there listening to what Darwin has to say or hearing things about the Big Bang Theory or hearing the stories about how improbable that atheists say Noah's Ark was and all this kind of stuff. They're not just going over there to hear both sides, the pro-God and the anti-God side. They're only wanting to hear the side that's against God. And they'll start eating that up. Meanwhile, they're not reading the Bible anymore. They're having less and less to do with church and the Christian community. And before long, they've lost their faith. And they have deconstructed. They're already a progressive, but now they've deconstructed. Now, what about those who deconstruct and then they become progressives? And that does happen. What's the deal with them? We as Christians are trusting in God primarily for our needs to be met. We believe God will take care of us. Now, things won't always be easy. We know that. Life can be hard. But we know God will see us through. And we also know that once this life is over, we have a better life in heaven, in the presence of God. So what happens is, these people have now left that. And so where are they going to turn? Where are they going to go to for help? Big government. Then that means that they're going to have to trade sides, basically. They got to come up with some kind of an alternative to God. They're not trusting in God anymore to meet their needs. So who are they going to trust to? Big government. Now that has become basically their God. That is who they trust. You know, we say, in God we trust. They say, in big government we trust. So if you're wondering, what is the big reason why that people deconstruct and then they're suddenly progressives? What's the reason why people leave Christianity? They go from conservative Christians to progressives, and then they turn around and become deconstructed atheists. What is the reason for all that? It's all political. It's really about politics. And the people that are out there promoting deconstruction, all these different channels you see on YouTube, the ones that are encouraging you to do the hard work and grow up and stop believing in things like God, who they compare to Santa Claus, they don't care anything about you. What they care about is their vision of big brother government, because that's who they've now put their trust in. They're putting their trust in government for everything. And the only way that it works is they get more and more people who take their side on that until they've created this socialist utopia, and then they think they're going to have everything perfect because they put their trust in government. Of course, it will never work. What you wind up with in these socialist utopias is you have a handful of people who have all the wealth, and everybody else shares the misery. Oh, yeah, you get your health care. Oh, yeah, you get all these different goodies that the government promises you. But at the same time, even though they are giving you these things, you're just getting the bare minimum. You're living like a pauper, and you still, even with the claiming health care is a right, there will still be times where some panel of bureaucrats will decide that your life isn't worth spending a certain amount of money on, and you'll have to take the pain pill. That's how it works. It never works the way they say it does. It all sounds wonderful until you actually look at places that have gone to this kind of a system. And then you find out it's really not what it's cracked up to be. But anyway, I just thought I would answer that question. I'm pretty sure it was Christy Burke who posed that question. She's been going through transformations of her own. When she first started doing videos, they were all anti-God videos, trying to get people away from God. Then she started doing protest videos, and now she's actually running for Congress as a progressive in a conservative district in Tennessee. But she wanted to know the answer to this question. Again, I'm pretty sure it was Christy. I was scrolling through, and I'm pretty sure she's the one that asked the question. If I'm wrong about who it was, I apologize. But nevertheless, it was one of the atheists posing the question to everybody: why do people become progressives after they deconstruct from Christianity? And I'm giving you the real answers. I haven't even looked at the video that this person put out. Maybe I'll get around to it. Maybe I'll scroll around and see if I can find it. But these are the real answers. I really don't have to see their opinion of it. I know that the answers I gave you are the true reasons why people that leave Christianity, they deconstruct. That is the reason why so many of them are suddenly progressives. If you're not a member of my channel or a subscriber to my channel, I want to invite you to subscribe. And until next time, take care, everyone.